The sleek black convertible purred as it hugged the winding coastal road. The California sun dipping low, painting the sky in hues of amber and rose. In the driver's seat, Ethan Caldwell gripped the wheel with one hand, his Bluetooth headset blinking like a lifeline to his corporate world. His jaw was set, eyes fixed ahead, oblivious to the tension simmering in the cramped back seat. Emily Caldwell, his wife of 12 years, perched awkwardly on the lap of Ethan's son from his first marriage. Noah, the two-door sports car, Ethan's pride and joy, offered no room for comfort, forcing Emily into this humiliating position, her body pressed against Noah's in a way that made her skin prickle with unease. She clutched her purse tightly, her knuckles white, trying to anchor herself against the flood of conflicting emotions swirling inside her. Emily, at 38, felt like a shadow of the vibrant woman she'd once been. Her auburn hair, once worn loose and wild, was now pulled back in a tight bun, a symbol of the restraint that defined her life with Ethan. Her hazel eyes, which used to sparkle with ambition, now carried a quiet resignation. She'd married Ethan hoping for partnership. But over the years, his indifference had carved a hollow space in her heart. Meals were silent, their bedroom a place of routine rather than intimacy. Ethan existed in their sprawling San Diego home, but he was a ghost always on calls, always distracted, always elsewhere. As the car jostled over a bump, Emily's body shifted, and she felt Noah's breath against her neck. Warm and steady, her pulse quickened, a flush creeping up her cheeks. She tried to laugh it off, her voice brittle. Your dad really needs a bigger car. Huh. Noah, 21 and home from college for the summer, gave a low chuckle, the sound deep and restrained, like he was holding back more than he let on. Yeah, this thing's not exactly family-friendly. His voice was calm, but Emily caught the faintest edge in it, a tremor that mirrored her own unease. Noah was lean and tall, with his father's sharp jawline but none of his coldness. His dark hair fell slightly over his forehead, and his green eyes held a quiet intensity that made Emily feel seen in a way she hadn't in years. She shifted again, trying to create distance, but the car's tight interior mocked her efforts. Ethan didn't glance back, didn't notice the silent storm brewing behind him. Emily's heart pounded, not just from the closeness, but from the realization that she didn't entirely want to pull away. That night, after they returned to their modern, glass-walled home perched on a cliff overlooking the Pacific, Ethan disappeared into his office without a word. Emily stood in the kitchen, the marble counter cold under her fingertips, staring at the sink as if it held answers. The memory of Noah's breath lingered, a forbidden spark that both terrified and thrilled her. She told herself it was nothing, just a moment born of circumstance. But her body betrayed her with a warmth she hadn't felt in years. She wasn't in love with Noah, nor was it lust at least. Not yet. It was something more dangerous. Awareness. A reminder that she was still a woman, still capable of being noticed, desired, alive. The next morning, Emily watched Noah from the kitchen window as he stood on the deck, shirtless, sipping coffee. The morning light caught the contours of his shoulders, and she felt a pang of guilt for looking too long. He turned, catching her gaze, and held it, not with judgment, not with flirtation, just presence. She looked away, her cheeks burning, and busied herself with the dishes. That evening, Ethan came home late, reeking of bourbon and boardroom deals. He barely acknowledged Emily or Noah before collapsing onto the couch, his snores filling the house. Noah, studying in the living room with headphones on, glanced up as Emily brought him a glass of water. Thanks, he said softly, his eyes locking onto hers. The air felt heavy, charged with unspoken questions. Emily's breath caught, and she retreated to bed, where Ethan's snoring only amplified the silence in her heart. Days blurred into weeks, and the tension between Emily and Noah grew like a slow-burning fire. He'd linger in the kitchen while she cooked, offering to chop vegetables or dry dishes. Their conversations, once surface level, deepened movies, music, dreams they'd shelved. Emily found herself dressing differently, a silk blouse instead of her usual cotton tees, a spritz of jasmine perfume she hadn't worn in years. She told herself it was for her, to feel like herself again, but deep down, she knew Noah's attention was part of it. He noticed when she changed her hair, when she looked tired, when she smiled. Ethan, meanwhile, noticed nothing. He was a phantom in their home, his presence marked only by the clink of his whiskey glass or the glow of his laptop. One evening, as Ethan shouted into his phone on a business call, Emily knelt in the backyard, pulling weeds from the flower bed. Noah joined her, his hands brushing hers as they worked in the dirt. The touch was accidental, but neither pulled away immediately. When he finally did, his eyes met hers, and Emily recognized the look hesitant, yearning, the kind that had once preceded kisses in her college days. Her stomach twisted with guilt, not because anything had happened, but because she didn't want it to stop. She lay awake that night, replaying the moment, wondering why Ethan's absence hurt less than Noah's presence stirred her. This is where I want to pause and talk about something important: boundaries and consent. In relationships, especially complex ones like step families, it's crucial to recognize the power dynamics at play. Emily, as the older adult and stepmother, holds a position of authority, even if she feels powerless in her marriage. Noah, younger and still navigating his own identity, might feel drawn to her attention, but that doesn't mean the dynamic is equal. Healthy relationships, romantic or otherwise, require clear communication and mutual respect. If you're ever in a situation where feelings are confusing or lines feel blurry, take a step back. Talk to someone you trust, like a friend or therapist, to gain perspective, and always prioritize consent explicit, enthusiastic agreement from both parties. Anything less risks harm, emotionally and ethically. If this resonates with you, drop a comment below, and let's keep this conversation going. The turning point came on a quiet Saturday night. Ethan was at a conference in Chicago, leaving the house eerily still. Emily sat at the kitchen table, a mug of chamomile tea cooling in her hands. She felt the weight of her loneliness like a physical ache. Noah walked in, fresh from a shower, his hair damp and hoodie slightly unzipped. He paused, sensing her mood. "You okay?" he asked, his voice gentle. Emily's throat tightened. "I don't know," she admitted, her voice cracking. It was the most honest she'd been in years. Noah sat across from her, the silence between them electric. She poured out her heart not about him, but about the emptiness of her marriage, the invisibility she felt. He listened, his presence steady, and when he reached for her hand, it wasn't seductive, it was grounding. But her body responded, a rush of warmth she couldn't ignore. She didn't pull away. Noah stood, moving to her side, and knelt beside her. Their eyes met, and Emily saw not just desire, but understanding. She was terrified of herself, of what this meant, but more terrified of letting the moment pass. Their first kiss was tentative, a question. The touches that followed were careful, respectful, but undeniable. It wasn't reckless passion. It was a quiet unraveling of years of neglect. Afterward, they lay in silence, the room cold, the weight of their choice settling in. Noah left without a word, and Emily stayed, wrapped in sheets that felt foreign. She didn't feel regret, not yet, just a strange clarity. She'd chosen this, eyes wide open, and that made it heavier. The days after were mechanical. Ethan returned, kissed her cheek absently, and went back to his routine. Noah avoided her, not out of anger, but caution. They didn't speak of that night. But the tension was sharper now, an aftermath that cut deeper than the anticipation. Emily moved through her life like a ghost, smiling when needed, nodding at Ethan's stories, but inside, she was unraveling. One afternoon, a glass in the dishwasher Noah sent her spiraling. It was ordinary, yet it felt like evidence of her betrayal. Shame crept in, not for fear of being caught, but because she didn't recognize herself anymore. Ethan noticed her distance, asked if she was okay. "Just tired," she lied. He accepted it, kissed her forehead, and moved on. The gap between them was a chasm now, filled with her secret. One night, she and Noah stood in the kitchen, 2 feet apart, the air thick. "Do you hate me?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. He shook his head. No, but he offered nothing more. And she didn't push. The next morning, Noah was gone. His room was tidy. No note. No goodbye. Emily told Ethan he'd gone back to campus early. Ethan didn't question it. She sat on the deck, staring at the ocean, waiting for something to text. A car, a sign. Nothing came. The world moved on, but she was stuck, carrying the weight of what she'd done, what it cost, and what it changed. If this story hit you hard, you're not alone. It's messy, human, and real, I'd love for you to join our community here at Broken Vows. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so we can keep exploring these raw, emotional stories together. Let's talk in the comments. What would you have done in Emily's shoes? And if you want more content like this, check out our playlist on navigating tough relationships. Stay real, stay kind, and I'll see you in the next one.